Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 3 emulation. In fact, a brand new PS3 emulator on the scene. It's called ChonkyStation 3. This is a real emulator and it's currently in development. Now, ChonkyStation 3 is currently in early stages of development, so in terms of overall compatibility, performance, features, and polish, I would say that this is nowhere near our PS3 and probably won't be for a long time. Is that a bad thing? No, everything has to start somewhere. And on top of that, I would argue sometimes having more emulators is better than having less. Having more options is usually a good thing. And in terms of legitimacy, you can see Where My Food At is one of the contributors, and that's the person behind Panda 3DS. And the main developer behind ChonkyStation 3 also has a couple of other emulators, ChonkyStation for the PS1 and, well, ChonkyStation 2 for the PS2. And if you are curious, there is Chonky. There's also a ChonkyStation website, although it is fairly bare bones at the moment. You can't really do a whole lot on here. And if I go to the About section, it just talks about the PS1 emulator, not the PS2 and PS3. But it does have the nice picture of Chonky. We're going to have to wait and see in terms of overall progress for ChonkyStation, ChonkyStation 2, and ChonkyStation 3. But at the same time here, ChonkyStation 3 seems to be off to a very strong start and is already booting commercial games. And speaking about PlayStation emulation, I mean, we've talked about PS1, PS2, and PS3. Why don't we talk about PlayStation 4? So next up, we're talking about psOff Premium, which just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, because this one does get updated quite a bit, the latest release here, it's a pre-release, is 2025 January 29th. Now, a pre-release means that this may not necessarily be a stable version and there may be bugs and maybe issues with it. And considering the emulator is still, I would argue, still fairly early on in terms of overall development, there's still going to be bugs and issues with it. It's not going to be perfectly compatible with every single game out there. If you are curious about psOff and wanted to learn more about it, like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Now, taking a look here, they do have a very nice tracker to tell you exactly what's going on, what they've completed, and what is listed as to do. And on top of that, they do have a compatibility tracker that I recommend checking out just to keep tabs on what games you're interested in and what the current status of them is. And continuing to talk about PlayStation, next up we're talking about PlayStation games on PC with a very interesting news post here, or blog post from PlayStation. It's absolutely no secret that PlayStation's direction to force people to use PSN accounts for playing their games on PC is a little bit polarizing, and by polarizing, I would say received fairly negative across the entire community. Anyways, they say here, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and God of War Ragnarok to offer in-game content unlocks for users playing with a PlayStation Network account. It seems they're trying to entice people to use a PSN account. However, in my opinion, the biggest part of the announcement, and arguably the most exciting part here, is this paragraph right here, rather just a couple of sentences. An account for PlayStation Network will become optional for these titles on PC. So I guess feel free to rejoice. They say players who still opt to sign into a PlayStation Network account will also enjoy added benefits like trophies and friend management. As for the extras that you unlock by having a PSN account, and I think this will entice people to use a PSN account. For Marvel's Spider-Man 2, you get early unlock suits, and that's pretty much the same for God of War Ragnarok. For Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, you get 50 points to activate bonus features and unlock extras, and also Jordan's jacket. And for Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, you gain access to the Nora Valiant outfit. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the matter, but to me this is the absolutely right approach. I mean, make the PSN account completely optional. Yeah, there's benefits if you've got a PSN account. But at the same time here, for people on PC, you know the modding scene, and well, this stuff really doesn't matter. I could be wrong with that approach, but at the same time here, I don't think so. Next up, we're shifting from PlayStation to Nintendo, and it turns out that Nintendo has lost a lawsuit. And this one is, well, it's very interesting, and this may be bad for Nintendo moving forward if other areas decide to try to do similar things. Anyways, apparently they have lost a trademark fight, and I've been corrected a bunch in the comments before, against the Super Mario Supermarket. And that's because of the use of the name Super Mario for their supermarket. So this Super Mario Supermarket is in Costa Rica, and it's called Super Mario because it's a supermarket and it's run by someone named Mario, which to me makes a lot of sense. It appears there was an issue when they were trying to renew their trademark and they went against Nintendo and won. Now, it's absolutely no secret that Nintendo has a pretty broad trademark on Super Mario. I mean, they use it in video games and toys and clothing and movies and TV shows and I think even music and more. However, there was a minor oversight. They never covered the trademark for supermarkets. And well, that's where this comes in here. The oversight lost Nintendo the case. Now, this court case may have broader implications because it appears that someone is trying to now open a Mario ramen in front of the Nintendo Museum in Japan. We'll have to wait and see where this one goes, but I mean, at the same time here, this may open the floodgates to a whole bunch of different things, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about Nintendo and lawsuits, next up here we're talking about one that may have some broader impacts in the emulation community. And this is the one where Nintendo was going after every game guru, but unfortunately hasn't been able to catch up with them. From my understanding, Nintendo still hasn't caught up with every game guru, and the last time we talked about it, Nintendo was having the exact same issue. Who knows here how long this is going to keep up for, if they're able to contact him, if they're able to serve him with the lawsuit, or if this just keeps going. I'm not familiar with the legal system in terms of this kind of stuff. We'll have to wait and see here, but I would say this court case is very, very interesting for the emulation community as a whole, because this one is pretty broad in general. We'll have to wait and see what happens on this one, but I am very curious to see what happens on this one moving forward, because the court case on its face, I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice, but taking a look at it, I would say some of these things are highly contestable. And I would say some of them even violate people's rights. But again, I'm not a legal expert. I'm guessing that Nintendo is going to use this court case to try to set a legal precedence for a whole bunch of different things and then latch onto that moving forward. I don't think that would necessarily be ideal if this court case was not contested at all. And every game guru may be ruining things for a lot of people moving forward. However, it does seem that every game guru's tactic here is just to avoid that, setting a precedent. So I don't know what happens here if the lawyers can't get a hold of them and the court case can't move forward, or if they can prove that the court case can move forward even without him being present. I have no idea here, but it seems that every game guru is trying to make sure there is no precedent set, and this will not impact the gaming community. We'll have to wait and see here on this one. It's a very interesting overall situation. And I probably would agree with this statement here. This will go down in video game history because, well, we've never really seen anything like this before. And speaking about weird stuff, next up we're talking about Facebook and Linux. And it turns out that Facebook is flagging Linux topics as cybersecurity threats. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with this one. It's super weird. I mean, given the fact that DistroWatch is one of the biggest things that are affected by this, and DistroWatch's main function is to track Linux distributions. Anyways, here it doesn't make any sense to me given the fact that Facebook is also, I think, built partially on Linux, or a lot of it's built on Linux, and they hire Linux developers. So it's just, I don't know what's going on. Facebook apparently classifies Linux as malware. It's crazy to me. Next up here, we're talking about Nintendo again. And if you've got $100,000 you wanted to spend on a GameCube, I've got the listing for you. This is the Nintendo GameCube prototype from SpaceWorld 2000. The GameCube has been found and a lot has been documented about it, and it is up for sale on eBay. Now, a lot has been known about this for quite a while. I mean, the blog post is back from 2023. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, or maybe you just forgot about it. But anyways, they compare the SpaceWorld 2001 side by side with an actual GameCube, and there's quite a few differences, but overall it is a GameCube. However, and this is a big one, the big problem is that it doesn't work because it's just a prototype. It will never work unless someone completely rearranges the guts and makes it into something it never was intended to be. It is just a prototype, a display prototype, and I think the LED works, and that's about it. And as for selling it, the person appears to want to be able to build some sort of foundation business. I could be absolutely wrong here, and if I am, let me know in the comments below, but it appears it's being sold for a very good reason. We'll have to wait and see on this one to see if anyone bites at $100,000 or close to it. I mean, there is a best offer. Maybe if you offer, I don't know, $99,000, they'll bite. Either way here, it does seem like it's being sold for a very good reason. And I mean, why would they have it if they've already documented everything they can out of it? And now it's just a display piece instead of using the funds for something even more, or a lot of stuff more. But moving on and shifting from Nintendo to Sega, or SuperSega, or Super SPGA, or whatever they're calling this thing now. Anyways, the SuperSega FPGA team, or the person behind it, I don't know if there's multiple people or just the one guy. Anyways, here it appears they've released a brand new theme song. And, well, it's something. Now, I don't know about you, but the song to me isn't that bad. I don't know why they made it in the first place. It's kind of catchy in some aspects. Some people have said it's AI generated. I don't know about that. But at the same time here, this whole saga has been so weird. I haven't invested a cent in any of this, and I don't think I ever will. But I mean, at the same time here, it's just, this takes weird turn after weird turn. And Modern Vintage Gamer says, please make this the song that plays when you boot up the SuperSega FPGA system. I think that might be plausible because I don't know if this system will ever play games. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I don't think the SuperSega FPGA is ever going to see the light of day. I think the people who pre-ordered have lost their money for good. I don't think they're ever getting it back. And I don't think that this is going to be a real product. However, it does seem that they're creating a movie. I don't know here. Like, whatever's going to happen next is probably going to be a surprise and also very weird. It's just one weird thing after another, in my opinion, about this project. Next up, we're talking about Capcom, and this is more just a heads up, and we'll probably talk about it once it goes live. But on February 4th, Capcom is having a double header. They're showcasing a whole bunch of stuff. So there's a Capcom showcase here for Onimusha Way of the Sword, Street Fighter 6, and Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is the one with CVS 2 on it, and Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. And then the second part of the doubleheader is Monster Hunter Wilds Showcase. In my opinion, and I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that Capcom is banking on Monster Hunter Wilds being successful. I would say they've got a lot riding on it, and they do need it to be successful to have an overall financially successful year. I could be wrong, but based on recent information, I don't think so. Next up, we're talking about the Nvidia RTX 4080 Ti Super, or also known as the 5080, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, depending on how you wanted to interpret that. Anyways, here it appears the 5080 is not doing very well in testing, and people are calling it a 4080 Ti Super, or as someone said in a comment on my previous video, a 4080 Super Duper. So the headlines that have been circulating about the 5080 being a little bit of a disappointment seem to be holding very true here. Some people are saying it's about 8% better, or 8.4% better, or 13% better, or not really a whole much percent better. And if you take a look here without DLSS stuff, it just seems the card is not really holding up to the hype that Nvidia was trying to build. Understandably so, considering companies try to really hype up the products, but I mean, at the same time here, it really goes to show how much these cards really need DLSS to look like they're performing. And on a side note here, talking about stuff that may be a little bit disappointing, we're going up one tier and talking about the 5090. Now, we have talked about the 5090 a lot in the past, and one of the big drawbacks about the 5090 was the perceived price. It was expected that this was going to be a very expensive card, and then when pricing came out, it seems that that relatively held true. However, things may be worse than we anticipated. It seems the top tier for the Asus GeForce RTX 5090 will be priced at over $3,000 USD. Now, I don't know if these prices are going to hold true. It seems they will. A lot of sites are sourcing, well, this video card's article. And if we take a look here, the lowest tier is $19.99, and that's for the tough gaming GeForce. And then the ROG Astral GeForce is $27.99, and then if you add tax, depending on where you are, that probably will push it above $3,000. And then the top tier one, the LC, where LC stands for liquid cooled, or possibly something else. I can't quite put my finger on it. Anyways, because it's liquid cooled, it does contain a separate unit altogether. It's priced at $3,099. And that to me is, well, that's really, really pricey for a 5090. I mean, maybe do you need the liquid cooling on it? I don't know. I don't think so, but it looks like liquid cooling may be a normal thing on video cards moving forward. And this to me is absolutely crazy in the video card space. But either way here, let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know if I'm way off base. But Who knows? And last up here is just a fun thing if you like browser-based games and you like Duck Hunt and you like free stuff. Next up, we're talking about Duck Hunter, which is based on Duck Hunt. It's on itch.io, and yes, you can play it in your browser. Now, on the itch.io page, it does say it's only available for PC. However, if you do have a mobile device, you can head over to the page and boot the game up. And yes, you can play it, and yes, there are touch controls. In my opinion, this game is a lot of fun to play for a few minutes here and there where you have some time to kill if you're taking a break from Balacho or something. Or if you want to play for an hour or so, or even more than that if you're really into Duck Hunt. I guess you absolutely can. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.